right, week 4. We finally got our first exam, so that's the big thing that you've got this week. So the exam, it's on the 2 sections that we've gone through so far. So section 1 was intro to animals and invertebrates and sponges and cnidarians. And then section 2 was mostly on worms, so flatworms, roundworms, annelids. We talked about rotifers, which aren't worms. But anyway, those 2 sections are what this test is on, all right? So you've got a study guide. Now, it's really, honestly, it's just an outline. It's just to let you know these are the topics we've covered. So go back in your notes, in the PowerPoint, in the lecture videos, and make sure you know all that material, okay? It's open Monday through Tuesday. You've got 48 hours. I started doing that a couple years ago. It used to just be 24 hours. And just a heads up, what I noticed, this seems totally backwards, but when I opened it up for 48 hours, I started having more students miss the exam. So I think this is why that happens, is when it's open for 48 hours, you can say, oh, I'll do that later, or, you know, I've got tomorrow to do it. And then things come up, and like they're kind of unavoidable, and you end up missing the test. So what I want everybody to do is like put a reminder in your phone, do what you can just like make a mental note, but I want you to decide this is when I'm going to take the test. Try to pick a time where you're not going to have any distractions, you know, no one else is in the house or kids have gone to bed or something like that. But make a schedule for this is when I'm going to take the test, because if you just say I'll do it later, something's going to happen and you might skip it, all right? Make sure that you follow the instructions on your environment video, and then there's like some additional instructions. So we had the practice exam last week, and I'm recording this on a Friday. Yesterday I just had a chance to review all of the videos, and there were a few issues. Most part everybody did really good. But what I need you to do is check your messages in Blackboard and see if I sent you a message, because there might be like a note that I sent you. Make sure you don't do this on the test, because I want to make sure you get credit for everything. Okay? All right, so that's the big thing, the test. Study that, focus on that, do well. And then after that, you've just got a few more assignments. You've got a discussion board. I sent you an announcement about that later. I'm tired. I sent you an announcement about that a little earlier. So that's a new kind of an assignment that we haven't done yet. It's just a chance for you to kind of discuss with your classmates a video that's going to relate to what we've been talking about in the lectures. And then honestly, if I'm being totally honest, it's also supposed to kind of bump your grade up a little bit. It's a 10-point assignment just for communicating and talking with each other. I do think it's good. I think the big downside of online classes is we don't get to meet and talk with each other and work in groups. So this is our way to try to simulate that a little bit. But honestly, it should be an easy 10 points that you can get every week that we have a test. All right, so don't forget that one. Finally, last thing, and this is going to be due on Sunday the 19th, we have our second lab, and this is going to be our first dissection lab that we have. So it's on invertebrates. We're going to be looking at animals that do not have a backbone, and we're going to do our first dissection with an earthworm, okay? So go through, it says, because this is our first dissection lab, I want you to give yourself way more time than you think you need. The estimate is 3.5 hours. I know that sounds long, but if you were taking this as a traditional class, our classes are 3 hours long, including lab days. So the labs just take long, whether it's online or traditional. But it says to get 3.5 hours. What I would do is try to give myself even more time than that, like find a 4-5 hour block of time. I don't think you're going to need that much time, but it's a lot better to have that time available than running out of time and not being able to submit your lab. So first dissection lab, say 5 hours just to get it safe. Hopefully you'll be done way quicker than that, and you'll be done. You'll need specimens from your lab kit. So I know I've been on you a lot about that. If you haven't bought a lab kit or if you haven't signed up for SI Cloud, you're probably sick of getting messages from me. But it's a big part of our class. So make sure that you got your lab kit ready. And then if you look, there's a table at the very bottom of this announcement that talks about the things you need to provide. Most of these you have already. You might have to make a trip to the store to pick up 1 or 2 things. It says the textbook is optional. Honestly, you're probably okay without that, but it's just going to ask you some questions in general about invertebrates. If you've got your textbook, that's a great resource to have. If you don't, you can look up these answers online. Now, all right, let me explain what I just said. You can look up the answers online and put it in your own words, but you cannot copy and paste from an online website, all right? Just a heads up, if your answers are not your own, if they're just copied and pasted from some other website, but you didn't write it, you don't get credit for those. That's also considered plagiarism, and you could get a 0 for the assignment. So all I'm saying is if you don't know an answer, feel free to look it up, but then write it in your own words. Other than that, you're going to have to take pictures of your dissections. And another big note, you're going to have a sheet of paper with your name and the date on your dissection picture. So make sure you include that so that you get credit. You can't like Google dissected earthworm and copy and paste that. That doesn't give you any credit at all for the lab. And the other things, paper, pencil, soap and bleach are just to clean up after you're done. So if you don't have those, you might want to get that. Distilled water, too, is used for cleaning in these labs. And if you don't have that lying around, go to the grocery store and you can buy a gallon of distilled water for less than $1, and that gallon will last you the whole semester. All right? So that's it. Test is the big thing, and then just make sure by the end of the week that you also do the discussion board and the second lab. All right? If you need anything, let me know, and I will see you soon.